you hear the music, you see the logo, you know what time it is. It's time for the Hangout. I am Akil Augustine. Thank you for being such a passionate basketball fan. It's time for us to break into the playoffs. And as always, we have a wonderful cast of characters. Dan Gladman, respect on the Calvin and Hobbes shirt. Were you a big Calvin and Hobbes fan coming up?
Weren't we all? Who wasn't? That and Garfield.
Okay, who was it? Was it Calvin or was it Hobbes?
Hobbes.
All day, all day. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Juno Award-winning rapper, my main man Shad, his first appearance on the couch.
Yes.
Thank you so much for coming out. Who's your team?
Well, thanks for having me. You know what? I gotta admit, at this point, I'm a big Spurs fan. It took me a while to come clean about that.
To come clean?
Yeah.
Oh, you were keeping that on the low?
You know, they weren't the coolest team to love. You know,
they
still aren't the coolest team to love. But they're the best.
All right.
Yeah.
And a gentleman that I consider to be one of the top 2 guests we've ever had on.
Really? Wow.
I love this guy. He's just, you're fly, man. I'm going to just come out and say, I got a man crush on you.
Thank you.
Your opinions are amazing. This is Gareth Wheeler.
The pressure's on now.
Yeah, now
you set the bar way high.
Now
Usually I set the bar low so I can easily clear it, but.
Talking about setting the bar high, let's get into the playoffs. Miami and Brooklyn. Paul Pierce set the bar high for himself. He obviously asked head coach Jason Kidd, he wanted to take on the responsibility of guarding LeBron James. You see the numbers that LeBron's putting up throughout the series, 37, 5 assists, but 49 points on 16 for 24 from the field was the end result of Paul Pierce's defense. Did Paul Pierce put himself in a bad position from Jump Street, Gareth?
Let's call it an old manism, because it's when the mind thinks it can keep up with the body that simply can't get the job done anymore. That's exactly what Paul Pierce is going through. He's still got the competitive edge and spirit, but simply his body's letting him down. We saw it here in Toronto where there was clear mismatches, at least from an offensive defensive perspective against the Toronto Raptors. There's no chance that he can stick with a guy like LeBron James and the athleticism he brings to the table.
He's still doing some good work offensively, though.
Sure.
Yeah.
Old man savvy. That's what it is.
Very true, very true. This is all but over, no?
You know, yeah, it's over. It's over. Like, Miami's gonna cruise. That's all it is. I mean, 60. It's not just 49 points, like you said. It's 16 of 24.
Yeah, that's
like
your problem.
That's like decimation.
The truth hurts. And Paul Pierce, you cannot guard LeBron James, especially in a big game when it's all right there on the table. And come on, we've known before this series started, this was Miami's series from the get-go. The Nets really aren't, I mean, they're a nice team, but they're not a championship level team. And honestly, the Toronto series just knocked out whatever energy they had.
Yet they skunked the Heat during the regular season.
Yeah, but Dwayne Wade missed 2 of those games.
I know, I get it, but Dwayne Wade's still not the Dwayne Wade that we all used to know and love and appreciate. This is a much different Dwayne Wade.
Miami could have cared less about the regular season.
That's the thing. And if you want to get to that NBA talk, because obviously Kevin Durant won the MVP, then LeBron James said that his team wasn't good enough. He basically put it on his team and said, that's the reason why I didn't win the MVP. But that just shows you how measured the approach is by the Miami Heat.
Yeah.
They had the long term in mind here. It wasn't about the regular season. They were willing to relinquish the #1 seed in the conference. That's how much confidence they had. And maybe it gave away LeBron's MVP trophy, but still, it's all worth it in the end.
I'm amazed at you guys. I didn't think anyone could talk that much about this series. I thought it was over by now. So let's jump to another one. Talk about #1 seeds. Spurs, my Spur man. We'll start with you, Shad.
Yeah.
Again, same question.
Yeah.
Is this series over? I think it is.
It's over. It's over.
The pressure was off Portland, though.
Yeah.
So that's why they got that game. Do you agree?
Totally. Like, Portland's a good team. They're gonna take one. You know, that didn't surprise me that much. But when San Antonio's clicking, like, they still have trouble, I think, against the top teams. But when they're clicking, I mean, they're.
And when are they not clicking? You look at this team; they've won 50 games every year that they're around. I mean, I think this team. I'm not even gonna bother talking about them. Are they gonna win the finals? I'm gonna put you on the spot because you are.
Well, they're 0-4 against Oklahoma City this year, right?
Yeah.
So again, it's like another kind of Miami City. Are they just being measured in their approach and they don't care? I mean, they're notoriously like, we don't care about the regular season. Popovich will get fines for benching his, you know, he does not really care. He's definitely thinking long term, but OKC poses some matchup problems, I think.
All right, well, Portland did at least get a game, which is something I didn't think they would. But the key was that I think, just when I tuned into the game, I saw LaMarcus Aldridge's face in warm-ups. The pressure was completely off of them at that point. Like, they know they're going to lose, so now they can play their game. But I want to put this Spurs team into context. We talked a bit about them last week, but let's start with Tony Parker. Going through NBA, talk to NBA fans, everyone's quick to say Chris Paul is the best point guard in the NBA. Chris Paul's never won an NBA championship. Chris Paul shares the ball a lot, makes a lot of players better, but is Tony Parker not the best point guard in the NBA, Dan Gladman?
Well, weren't we talking about Tony Parker last year as maybe the MVP of the league?
Yes.
And Charles Barkley brought it up on Inside the NBA, and we've talked about it.
Chris is the best point guard.
Well, Chris Paul plays in LA. He came into the league more highly regarded, more highly touted. He's American, and it's the league's obviously in the States and in Canada.
It's Americanism, is it?
Well, Tony Parker just has never had the publicity behind him. He plays in San Antonio. He came from France. He came out of nowhere. Nobody even regarded him as much of a prospect.
But Dan, saying that they're under-respected or they're not getting the respect, to me it's completely bunk, because that's what we continue to say, all of us. Why don't the Spurs get respect?
I'm not saying he's not getting respect.
That shows that they are getting respect.
The publicity isn't there, which is an entirely different thing. People respect the Spurs. When a team goes up against San Antonio and they have to face Tony Parker, they're scared. But he just doesn't have the publicity to be really regarded.
Do you know what's not there? The highlight reel. That's what it is. Tony Parker taking the ball to the hoop, making the right pass. Like, those plays aren't respected enough. If I was to pick a teammate who I'd rather have Chris Paul and Tony Parker, it's TP. And that's no disrespect to Chris Paul. It's just you see Tony Parker's ability to play within a team concept and buy into a team model. And that's what all these Spurs players have done year after year. And that's why maybe some of their players are under-respected.
Okay, we're talking Spurs players now. I got another question I want to throw out. Shad, this one's for you.
Yeah.
Is Tim Duncan the greatest power forward in the history, not of the NBA, but of basketball?
Absolutely. I think Karl Malone at his peak, was so well-rounded. He could run the floor. He was a beast down low. He could draw the fouls. He could pass the basketball. But Tim Duncan, his dominance and the longevity is
that's the key.
His resume speaks for itself.
The 4 championships.
Yeah. So Tim Duncan, for me personally, the key is longevity.
Yeah.
The key is the fact that he's never missed a 50-game season. Like, they win 50 games every year, except for the one year where there are only 50 games. Yeah. And he constantly performs at a high level. Never had a bad day. Never had an off day.
He's been in the playoffs more than entire organizations. Literally.
I think all but 3 organizations.
Kevin McHale had some pretty good years too, though, at that position.
Leave it to you to bring up the Rockets. We're done with the Rockets. We're out of the playoffs. More to come on the Hangout. We got to talk about this dude, Donald Sterling. Hot damn, Donald Sterling.